Never before in this country have we had such a barney between state and territory leaders over borders. Now, unlike Europe, if you blink as you cross one of our borders here, well, you'll miss it. But thanks to this wretched virus, it's turned state relations into a farce. Every closed border equals billions of dollars lost in commerce straight down the drain, and of course, the personal disconnection between family members. I cannot tell you how many letters I get from radio and television listeners and viewers about that. I am desperate to see my mother. I want to see my brother or sister. But if you're a premier charged with making informed decisions about when to reopen your borders, how crucial is that decision? Wouldn't you think you should be across what other states are doing? At least every day, maybe almost every hour, because this particular story, the case of this pandemic, changes hourly. It is an emergency. Well, last night, I had a chance to interview WA Premier Mark McGowan, who, as everyone knows, is as close to virus-free as most of the other jurisdictions who are. But he's gone against the National Cabinet agreement to reopen borders this month. It was supposed to be July. For some reason, they've selected August 8. That's the favoured mark. August 8, where does he get that from? And he's being extra careful based on this spike in Victoria. But that's Victoria. What I discovered last night is that here's one Premier who is unaware of what the key state of New South Wales is doing about Victorians. Yesterday, about 10 hours after New South Wales laid down the law on preventing Victorians from hotspots from entering New South Wales, Mark McGowan did not have a clue. Why wouldn't you allow people from New South Wales and those on the eastern seaboard, maybe barring Victoria, to come into WA as well and stimulate your economy even more, considering the fact that New South Wales has not had a community transmission for more than 2 weeks?
If we start discriminating against the states, discriminating between the states, that can cause some constitutional issues. OK, we might lose out on some tourists from the east, but New South Wales is open to Victoria. We can't be secure in terms of our health arrangements if we allow people to go east or people from the east to come here.
But they're not doing that. No. New South Wales have said to Victorians, you come over the border, you cop an $11,000 fine or you go to jail.
I have never heard that before, but if that's the case...
That's been announced today.
Is that a hard border? So they're putting in place a hard border with Victoria?
Not an official hard border, but they're saying you come over, you'll get an $11,000 fine or go to jail today.
Well, I'll have to research that one.
So if it's true, would you reconsider allowing New South Wales residents getting into WA, say, in the next month, within July?
Not at this point.
Now, firstly, where he gets this constitutional drama, if he opens the border to some and not the others, I've got no idea who is giving him that legal advice. But he's not up to speed or up to date on the latest border controls, which he's using to keep WA closed. And even if New South Wales is a safer zone, he's not even willing to consider changing his mind. Talk about recalcitrant. So it'll be 5 weeks, at least, before we open that part of the West up to the rest of Australia. Talk about dogged. That's as risk-averse as you'll get from any of them. This is not and cannot be about eradication. But another example today of when lines of communication are non-existent and should be much better. This time, the Victorian Chief Medical Officer was not aware that hours before his press conference today, the Northern Territory discovered a positive case of COVID-19 involving a Victorian from one of their hotspots.
No, I don't have any information about a Northern Territory case that might be linked to Victoria.
I think they're saying it is definitely linked to Victoria.
Right. Yeah, look, it's a message that we've given to hotspots. You can't leave home except for the 4 reasons now.
Unbelievable. Given the fact that this latest case, a man in his 30s, returned to the Territory via Brisbane, but from a virus hotspot in Melbourne, that should be common knowledge, I would have thought, by those who need to know. That is the Chief Medical Officer of Victoria. Because who knows who he'd spent time with in Melbourne? Surely that needs immediate tracing. Aren't the states and territories speaking with each other? Whatever happened to this national coordination network? And yet again, very public information is not being communicated between those at the top. These are facts that are crucial in working out where the virus has got to and what to do with a plunging economy. Meanwhile, all these conflicting border policies and conflicting medical advice will be thrown into the bunker of National Cabinet tomorrow, and no doubt there'll be some very tense times as premiers continue to refuse to budge and Scott Morrison tries to push back. But it's time the simple lines of communication and fact-gathering improve between the states and territories. It doesn't say much for the formation of a national cabinet.